Any bass is a nice bass, right, to start things off. So I'm using the Rapala Dives 2.7 flat. Barb is trying a little bit of drop shotting. It's a good start for here at Bark Lake.
Let's go fishing. People, when you're in the mood, let's go fishing. Well, it's just me and you. Head on down to the fishing hole. Grab your hat, get your pole. Let's go fishing when you're in the mood.
Canadian Sport Fishing is brought to you by Rapala, premium fishing gear crafted from experience. Yamaha Outboards, reliability starts here. Sail, the outdoors superstore. Insect Defend Patch, deep-free protection from biting insects.
When you're working these drop shot rigs, it's really important to be close to the bottom. I got one on, Barb.
Yeah?
We just marked fish a couple of seconds ago,
Awesome.
so try to keep it down there. I don't know if this guy's going to come out of the water. Yeah, nice smallmouth. Look at this, tail walking and everything.
That's awesome.
Now what's interesting was the last couple of days, all the smallmouths we've caught, none of them jumped out of the water, right, Barb? They were all dogging it and staying down. And I think this morning, because we've got a little bit better surfing conditions, we don't have the strong waves or the wind blowing, it's a lot easier to hook these fish, and also they're coming out of the water a lot more. Come on, we're using light lines, so we're taking our time here. And I'm going to try grabbing this one, Barb, by the lip without using the net. I'm going to tuck the remote away. You're going to jump one more time. He's going to head shake. This isn't as big as the one you had, Barb, but it's a nice smallmouth nonetheless. Look.
Beautiful.
I'm saying he's probably going to be at least 2.5 pounds. You know, we've seen bait fish on the sonar. This is where it's so important to have a good fish finder. We're using the Humminbird 800 series as our main unit right there on the console. And we've marked the shoal. You can see that we're literally in the middle of Bark Lake. So we're surrounded by anywhere from 280 feet of water over here to about 150 over there. And this is a nice rock pile that's come up. Some of the locals refer to it as a sunken island. And it comes up to about 30 feet. So we're working the edges of it. Now you can see the distance from the sinker to my actual spin shot hook. I'll just spin it around here because it's underneath that. That's the distance. We're only talking about a foot off the bottom. And then we've got that nice pearl-colored grub on that spin shot hook that spins around the line so you don't get tangled. So there's the rig right here. Just going to try to drop it without dropping the fish. Okay, so that's the rig that we're using right there, and just shaking it on the bottom. Just going to drop it down. But you can see how healthy these smallmouth are. So we've marked the actual sunken island, we've marked bait fish around it, and now we're just kind of making donuts around it. And as soon as we mark 2 or 3 fish, or we see a fish on the surface busting up on the bait fish, we're letting our lines down or casting out and getting those fish to hit. Look at nice chunky smallmouth. I'll tell you what, that water's cold, and there he goes. Bark Lake is an awesome lake. I can't imagine being here in midsummer when the walleye fishing is really hot. I've been told that you can flatline a Rapala Husky Jerk number 14 literally anywhere in the lake and get walleyes from 2 to 4 pounds. Now, when I was told that I was going to be coming up to Bark Lake, I had to find out which Bark Lake, because there's several Bark Lakes in Ontario. This is the Bark Lake that's near Barry's Bay, Ontario. My next challenge was trying to find a hydrographic chart of the lake. Couldn't find it anywhere online, so I called the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources, the local office, and I asked them if they had a fish and wildlife depth map of the lake. And guess what they did? And they were kind enough to send it to me via email. When I received it, I actually printed it off in sections. So this is old school. This is the actual chart of the lake. So I printed it off in sections and literally cut and pasted it together. So this gives you an idea of how big Bark Lake near Barry's Bay is. It's 17 miles long, and you can see all of these contour lines, very fast dropping shorelines and water depths in many places of 240 and over 300 feet in depth. So it's an amazing system. What feeds it is the Madawaska River that comes from Algonquin Park. And the Opiongo River also flows into the Madawaska. So it's a really big system. It's unbelievable fishing. So what I was able to do, I combined this chart and my Hummingbird 800, where you can actually plot your route when you're traveling along. I was saving my route every day. When I'd find something of interest where I thought it corresponded to the map, I would mark it as a waypoint. And talking also to some of the locals that have fished the lake for 20 or 30 years, I was able to figure out where some of the sunken islands were to get those smallmouth late in the season that were anywhere from 50, 60 feet right up to 20, 30 feet, right around those sunken islands. And that's where we got them with crankbaits and also fishing on the bottom with drop shot rig and also with the vertical jigging spoons. So you know what? If you're planning on fishing some of the lakes that don't have the charts, where you can't find them online, a good thing to do is to call the MNR. They can help you out by giving you the charts that they have, and in many cases, they've made them so they can email them to you. And that way, it'll help you catch fish.
Xmark, you find fish, catch of the day.
Hi, Dale. It's Tony from Canadian Sport Fishing calling. I need you to think back to the day you caught that fish. You ready?
Okay.
Go.
The day was about 25 below zero. We were fishing in my brother's shack.
25 below zero? That's incredible.
Well, you're in a shack, so it doesn't really matter. And I caught probably about 6 walleyes that day. That was the biggest of the day. It's my biggest walleye I've caught. It was 31.5 inches. I released the fish to let it live on for someone else to catch. I always release big fish. It was a wonderful big fish. It was my favorite. I just had to upload it so other people could enjoy the looks of it.
And so what do you think of the app?
It's interesting. It's nice seeing other people put the fish on and stuff.
It's a beautiful fish. Looks like a gorgeous day. Were you with a buddy?
I was out with my wife. We always go out together. She's my best friend for fishing, and she took the picture of the fish for me.
Beautiful. And does she outfish you?
Sometimes.
Often, I bet.
Barb, this one hit just off the hump.
Just off it?
Yeah, he jumped once. It's, big smallmouth.
Oh, he's a jumper.
I hope he stays on. It's under the boat, around the electric. Barbara, get the net.
Get the net, get the net.
Yeah, he's a big smallie. Okay, Barbara, I'm going to come down here.
Okay.
It's a good fish. I just hope he's hooked well, honey.
I hope so,
for this
too.
early in the morning.
Yes.
I hope he stays down. The one thing you don't want him to do is to jump. Oh, hold on. Don't chase him. Yeah. Okay, ready?
Okay.
Is
What
that
a
good
big
bass?
fish.
That's
That's a
big
monster.
bass. Barbara, here. Good net job.
Good
Okay,
going,
bring him over the
Italo.
boat.
Oh my goodness.
Let's see
That
here.
is a huge fish.
Yeah, I think that might be about a 5-pounder.
Oh my.
Look it. He's got that front hook, Barb. One in the bottom, one in the top, which is good because he couldn't open his mouth to throw it. Okay, so there's that Rapala. It's called a dives tube. Very good crankbait when you're searching for fish. I'm just going to toss it in the water. Is that a beautiful smallmouth, Barb?
That is a thick one.
Gorgeous.
It's been feeding well.
Right here from Bark Lake. Can you imagine having a place here on the lake and
Oh.
enjoying these fish?
It would be awesome.
I think we're the only ones on the water, Barb.
I think so.
I'm going to take a quick measurement. You know what? 20 inches.
Wow.
That's a good smallmouth.
And it's thick.
Okay, I'm going to let them revive for a second because I was messing around trying to get the hook out. You can see how thick their bellies are. We've seen fish splashing on the surface, feeding all morning. Boy, these fish are so aggressive, but they almost disappear when the light comes on, when it gets brighter. That's why I'm hoping it's going to stay overcast for a few hours so we can really enjoy these fish. What a nice big smallmouth. He's a slab.
Oh.
And there's so many, I understand, in Bark Lake, and this is just one of the species. Most of the fishermen that fish here target the walleye because the walleye fishing's so good. But this late in the year, we're just concentrating on smallmouth bass. This is the Concept TI series, and it's got true nanotechnology. So the molecules are so tiny that they bond so well, the blank is extremely light. Now we have this match with the shift spinning reel, and what's really important when you're doing this, making long casts and cover a lot of the deeper water off the humps with the crankbait, is using a really good line. What we're using is the Suffix 832 braid. This particular one is the bright green color. And it's 10-pound test, but it has the line diameter of 4-pound monofilament. And you can see that about the last foot before the crankbait, we've got a piece of fluorocarbon. That's to give it a little bit of stretch, and so it's a little bit invisible. So if you're casting crankbaits, any time of the year, the braid works, I think, better than monofilament because you get a better strike back reaction quick. But especially here in the fall, when these smallmouth can go from 60 feet to 30 feet and right back down at any time, and you're trying to cast and find them, this is a really good line and also a great outfit to use. This season we filmed at a lot of locations where I had an opportunity to fish right on the bottom using artificial, soft plastics especially. And I was drop shotting, but I wasn't using just the normal hook to do my drop shotting. I was using a new hook that's called a spin shot hook, and I'm holding it right here. What makes this hook so unique when it comes to drop shotting is that you see that it has like a swivel built right into the eye of the hook. So you tie the line at one end, tie the line at the other end, and the hook always sticks out. I'm just going to turn the packaging around so you can see the illustration. You can see that if you tie it so that the hook goes upwards, it always hangs out from your line at 45 degrees. So that when a fish comes to grab it, it literally gets the hook in its mouth. Now when you're using hooks like this for drop shotting, it's very important to use the right soft plastic. What I'm holding up here is a Trigger X, and this particular one is called the probe worm. Now, the reason this worm works so well, you can see how limp it is. You want a limp, soft plastic because whenever you shake your drop shot rig, you want it to have lots of action. This particular one is about 4 inches long, and you can see it's a very light color, not too strong. It's got a bit of clear pumpkin seed on top, a little bit of silver with flake. Now, when you hook these on a drop shot hook, remember, the hook is going to be facing upwards like this. So when you hook your soft plastic on, you just want to hook it only about ½ an inch because you want it to stick straight out. Watch. So you don't put it on so it's got a big bend. You literally just put it on like that so that it sticks straight out, no bend in it. So that whenever you move it up and down, that worm just has a tantalizing action all over the place, and those bass are going to come up to it and literally inhale it, and they'll always be hooked right through the roof of the mouth, which is one of the best places to hook a fish. There's nice hard bone there, and if you drive the barb through, they won't be able to throw it, even if they jump out of the water.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Naden Boats, Canada's finest aluminum boats.
You know, I'm looking at the reflection that this spoon is throwing, and I can just picture it going underwater and looking like a real bait fish. Spoons are one of the most versatile lures you can use because you can control the depth that they sink at and that you retrieve them at. Now, some spoons that are heavier and that don't have a lot of cupping, they don't have a lot of curvature, are ideal because you can cast and retrieve them to get a really lifelike minnow action, or you can drop them and fish them vertically, just like we did to catch some of those big bass. But to do that, you have to use the right size spoon to get down to where the fish are. So, smaller spoon, less weight for fish that are in less than 20 feet of water, larger spoon, heavier weight for fish that are down as deep as 50, 60 feet. Now, what I like about these Lure Jensen crocodile spoons is that they're nice and thick, so you have weight to use them for vertical jigging, but also they come equipped with a treble hook that's right on the lure and also a single hook. And you might say, well, why would you want to use the single hook? Well, if you're fishing a bottom that's very sticky, as we call it, where it's up and down or there's timber down there or big rocks, you're probably better off going with the single hook. Also, it's easier to take the hook out of the fish. The treble hook works fine if you're vertical jigging in open water or maybe if the fish are hitting lightly. The one thing that's critical when you're using a vertical jigging spoon is to have a swivel. And Lure Jensen recognizes that, so their spoons actually come equipped with the swivel. That way when that spoon is tumbling and twisting, it won't twist your line up. Good job, Barb.
Like right
Let me
here?
get the net, okay?
Okay. He's jumped twice or 3 times.
I know, okay?
And he's been
Keep the
trying to
pressure.
shake.
Keep the pressure on him. Lift up. Get that rod up. Get him out from under the boat.
Oh, okay,
Good
there
one.
he is.
Good one. Barb, he didn't have a chance. He wasn't going to get
No.
away on you. Okay, if you can grab him very gently.
Okay.
There you go. You know, one thing we've been quietly doing is actually switching up the presentation. Every once in a while, I'll take a vertical jigging spoon or a drop shot rig, and Barb just dropped down a drop shot rig, and just hold Barb with your other hand underneath so they can see the inside of the mouth.
Okay.
How well he grabbed that. So just tilt him, yep, so that his mouth faces the camera. While you do that, I'm going to get the pliers, because he's hooked really nice right in the top of the jaw. So you can see the way these are those spin shot hooks. They're a really nice hook because when a fish goes to grab it, the hook always sits upwards, so they get hooked in the top part of the jaw, and it's got that swivel shaft that goes through the center of the eye, so the hook can spin around. That's why it's called a spin shot, and because of that, it's always facing upwards. So you see the point of the hook? I'm going to point to it with the pliers right here. It's facing upwards, and you get that's probably the best place to hook a fish, just through the roof of the mouth. So there's no way that fish is going to get off. So you can see that grub that's right there. So when it's sitting on the bottom, that's exactly how the grub is swimming, like this. And there's that drop shot with that little, I think they call that like a little TNT weight. It's a round weight on the bottom, and you can see we've left a tag, because it's not important to trim that tag close. The fish isn't attracted to that. It's attracted to this grub. When it sees it, like that. I said just like that, grabs in its mouth. Okay, Barb, this fish is about 16 inches. I'm guessing it's just under 3 pounds. Very healthy smallmouth. I mean, it blends right in with the beautiful colors with the leaves changing on the shoreline. Okay, Barb, I'm just going to get the net. When we put it back in here, I'm going to give you the job of releasing it, making sure it revives.
Yes.
Nice dark fish, eh?
Yes,
okay,
it
there's
is.
the net. Let's get it in the water.
Okay.
Let it revive, and then we'll just let it swim out. That was a perfect hook set, perfect fight. Made about 3 jumps, Barb.
Yes, it did.
It was awesome. That's such a nice fish, Barb.
Yes.
See if you can point him into the waves just so he gets some air. I think he's going to turn right side up. You can actually move the net. Move the net to your right, Barb. Yeah, a little bit to your right. And he's going to be, just so he gets that little bit of wave action. His back is already up. And let him swim right out the hoop.
There he goes.
I love to fish. You know what? I love to fish so much that I do it all year long, no matter what the weather or water conditions are like. Sometimes I drive my truck and I pull my boat, other times just my car, because I don't need my boat. But one thing I've learned, it's very important to do normal maintenance, whether it's on your trailer, making sure that your bearings are properly greased, or whether it's your main driving vehicle. Can you imagine being in a remote fishing area and you got a breakdown because you haven't done regular maintenance? So not only that, but also if you do regular maintenance, you're going to have improved fuel mileage, and that's better for the environment. You know, this is challenging, this fall fishing, when you're trying to get these fish in deeper water, targeting them, and they're moving around so much and feeding on moving bait fish, schools. You can see the weather's been a little bit unstable, and that's one of the problems when you get into the fall weather. This fish is fighting good, Barb.
Good.
I don't know how big it is. Oh, it's on the other side of the boat.
Uh-oh.
See if I can bring him this way. Come on. That wind's not helping. I'm going to try to slow us down with the electric. You know, the air is so fresh. A lot of people don't like the fall. I think it's beautiful with the wonderful colors. Okay, Barb, it's really close. Ready? Get the net in the water, hon. Oh, almost. He's going under the boat because that's the way the wind's blowing us. We just have to be patient. This is where I'm trying to, wow, it's got tons of energy. What I got to do is try to turn the boat right around. We're in 50 feet of water. Having fun trying to find, okay, Barb, ready? Right there, good
Oh,
one,
nice
Barbara.
fish.
Another
Wow.
nice smallmouth. When you're fishing in northern Ontario and the water temperatures start to drop down, a lot of the game fish will start to really feed heavy. The only problem is they move around and follow the bait fish. So here on Bark Lake, a lot of times they'll go deeper. So that fish came out of literally 50-some feet of water. You can see that vertical jigging spoon that he hit. A lot of times when you mark those marks that are long lines just off the bottom, they're not feeding fish. But if you get a lure close enough, and especially a spoon like this that flutters and has very erratic action, they can't resist and they'll grab it. So this guy, Barb, was just hooked really by one hook. So I was fortunate to land him. Good thing you did a good net job, Barb.
Yes.
Okay, when you get him past the barb, sometimes they really hold. Isn't that a nice fish? I'm going to take a quick measurement. I'm guessing he's about 18 inches. He's just a nice, healthy, look at the colors, Barb.
Nice colors.
They call them bronze back. Some people call them tigers because of those stripes. Measurement on the fish, my goodness, he's 19 inches. I thought he was about 18. So we're going to let him revive a little bit. I'm going to put him back in our net. And look at that. I love the colors of these northern fish. You know, Bark Lake has such a nice population of smallmouth bass, of walleye. I understand from talking to some of the fishermen that have been fishing Bark Lake for 30 years, some of the walleye average 4 to 5 pounds, especially during the summer months. This guy's almost ready to go. Come on. Give us a nice tail wave. There he goes. Perfect.
Bye-bye.
Okay, you know, when it comes to using vertical jigging spoons, size does matter. And I've got to explain, if you're using too heavy of a spoon, you're going to be getting stuck on bottom and the drop is going to be too quick. So here are two classic vertical jigging spoons. You can see they're very wedge-shaped. There's no cupping in it like a spoon that you would cast and retrieve. And there's really not much to them. So the key is to use the right size spoon for the depth of water that you're fishing in. In water less than 50 feet, I would go with this one right here, the smaller one, because it's going to have more hang time but still get to the bottom and a lot more flash and roll. If you're dealing in water that's, let's say, 50 to 100 feet, this 2 ouncer is perfect. The key though is to be on fish. You just can't be out in the middle of the lake vertical jigging these. You have to mark the fish, and we're using the 800 series Hummingbird, and then trying to get on top of them with the electric, even with this wind that's blowing pretty good behind me. And then sooner or later, we're going to get those fish to hit.
Canadian Sport Fishing is brought to you by Suffix, the world's most hardcore fishing line. Yamaha Outboards, reliability starts here. Sail, the outdoors superstore. Insect Defend Patch, deep-free protection from biting insects.
The smallmouths will go along the shorelines during the summertime and any rock outcrops, points, islands. But this time of the year when the temperature drops, and on our Hummingbird, the temperature is around 15 Celsius. What a difference. Down on the Bay of Quinte 3 weeks ago, it was 28 Celsius in the upper bay. That's really, really hot. So here, no wonder there's so many lake trout in the lake and that they're deep, and the walleye also. The bait fish are normally deep in this lake. In the summertime, they'll suspend out near the surface, but right now, most of the bait fish we've marked have been down as deep as 50, 60 feet of water. And of course, where the bait fish are, that's where you're going to catch the game fish.